Hello and welcome back to Crazy Kernel YouTube. In this video, I'll be talking about the Python's try, except, and finally blocks. Before we get started, please be sure to like, subscribe, and if you want notifications on my upcoming videos, be sure to click on that bell icon. Okay, now let's get started. So basically on screen, I've shown the try and except blocks, and at the end, I'll be going over the finally block. So as of right now, what I have on screen is the try and except. So basically I put try, colon, and then the next line I have 4 indentation spots, and then I put my line of code which I want to try. So basically print x. You might have noticed that x is actually not defined in this block of code, so you might be thinking it will throw us an error, but actually it would throw us an error, but because of this try and except blocks, it won't. So instead of throwing us an error, the except block will like patch up that error and give me what I want to hear, or what I mentioned right here. So basically, like, if you want to test a block of code but you don't want to get the error, this is a great way to test your code and not get an error at all. So basically it's like this. See, try print x. X is not defined, so it would have thrown us an error, but since the try block is actually false, it goes into the except block just like an if and else condition. So except, and then an indentation in our next line, print an error occurred. So basically, if this, it'll try to print x. Since that'll not work, it'll go into the except block. So we're making an exception for this error. So when you execute this, it will print an error occurred. So basically, it does execute like the way we want it to. You can also make an exception for different kinds of errors. I don't really know a lot on this topic, but there is a certain type of error called a name error. In this case, this is a name error because a name error is like where something is not defined properly. So x is not defined and we still say print x. That's practically a name error because the code, like, we might be saying print x. We might just define something ourselves. X is this. But if you don't actually mention it in the program itself, the program will be thinking like, what is x? So that is a name error. And let's run this, and it should execute the same thing. So basically, see, it does. An error occurred because this is a name error. Okay, and after that, we have the finally block. So basically, finally, next line indent again, and basically, we just run another print statement or whatever you want to do with this finally block. So basically, finally, print last line of code. So basically, this can be anything. It doesn't even have to be a print statement, I guess. I guess it can just be any kind of code. So basically, the special thing about the finally block is that it executes regardless of the try and accepts blocks of code's outcome. So basically, on the other hand, try and accept blocks, each other's outcome impacts the other. So if the try block of code fails, it'll go into the accept. On the other hand, also if the try block does execute, it won't even go to the accept block. But whether the try fails or runs, finally will still execute. So it's kind of confusing, but finally will execute regardless of like whether this executes or not. So that's something neat about finally block. And I guess that's it for this video. And thank you for watching. See you next time on Crazy Kernel YouTube.